Welcome back to this wonderful series of world-class all-time 11s. We are hopping from club to club and decade to decade in search of your favourite club's best ever superstars, and today it's the turn of the Magpies, the lads from the Toon, Newcastle Football Club. The Black and White Army have a long history and as a one-club city hold a truly special place in the hearts and minds of their people. Since their recent Saudi takeover, they have also shot up the league table and returned to the Champions League after 20 years out of the limelight and even a few years in the second division. With their new wads of wealth, the sky may well be the limit for Newcastle. How far do you think they can go? The next Man City perhaps? Let us know in the comments. With future success in mind, their all-time XI might look a little different in a few years, assuming they go on to hit the heights a wealthy football club would aspire to. But for now, they still have a pretty sweet old side from the history books. Let's have a look.
Bruno back through for Almiron, he's in! Miguel Almiron!
Oh, brilliant!
Well,
brilliant.
You know the rest. On his left, Alexander Isak! Oh, what a goal! Who's gone for it? Oh!
In the number one spot is of course everyone's best mate, Shay Given. Newcastle's keeper the last time they appeared in the Champions League, Given always seemed to have a smile on his face, but was a fierce competitor nonetheless. The Irishman spent 12 years at St James's Park and was a fantastic shot stopper, loyal servant and fans' favourite. He appeared at the 2002 World Cup for Ireland, he was twice named Irish Footballer of the Year and twice named in the PFA Team of the Year. He was also voted Newcastle's Player of the Season in 2006, so he's a shoo-in between the sticks. Into the backline we go, and on the right it's Bill McCraken, who first played for the Toon Army all the way back in 1904, over a century ago. McCraken won 3 First Division titles and an FA Cup with Newcastle. He was a super solid defender who spent a magnificent 19 seasons at the club. In its centre-back is the old Newcastle captain, the man from Perth in Scotland, Bobby Moncur. In fact, not only was he the club captain, but he remains the last Newcastle captain to lift major silverware at the club, the Intercity Fairs Cup of 1969. You might not even have heard of that tournament. Well, basically it was the 60s answer to the Europa League. And despite being a centre-back who wasn't prone to scoring goals, in this particular two-legged final, Moncur managed to bag 3 goals over both games. A true club legend with that final alone. Philippe Albert is the obvious choice to partner Moncur at centre-back. Albert, despite not even reaching a century of games for the club, will forever live in the memories of the St James's Park faithful, with one delightful chip against Manchester United in a jaw-dropping and historical 5-0 victory. He basically stated his claim as the most adored Newcastle player ever. The Belgian international came from Anderlecht and played for Newcastle between 94 and 99, so he was a part of the famous Newcastle side of the late 90s led by Kevin Keegan, and referred to as the Entertainers for their open and exciting brand of attacking football. In at left back is John Beresford, another favourite of the famous Entertainers era under Keegan of course. Beresford was a fullback who absolutely loved to dart forward to provide pace, options and give a bit of quality to the attack. In midfield we start with a man who became a bit of a cult figure on Tyneside, Nolberto aka Nobby Solano. A man with a remarkable career path, he started off at Sporting Cristal in his native Peru, before making a move to Boca Juniors in Buenos Aires. From there, he would end up in the northeast of all places, and over 2 spells with Newcastle, he would make over 300 appearances and score 48 goals in all competitions. Nobby Solano had an absolute wand of a right boot, and he became a club legend. He scored 20 goals for Peru as well in 95 caps, and took to England like a duck to water, eventually playing for the likes of Aston Villa, West Ham and Leicester City too, as well as of course Newcastle FC. If a man was free in the box, you can bet that Nobby would find them with a sumptuous ball. Peter Beardsley walks into this midfield. Like Nobby, his magic was spread over 2 separate spells with the Magpies. He was so good that they had to buy him twice. Beardsley was voted back-to-back Newcastle Player of the Year. He also made 59 England appearances and won 2 league titles in a spell at Liverpool. He was a phenomenal player, bright, balanced and with an eye for goal. Providing us with a bit more strength in the middle of the park is the late Gary Speed. The Welshman was a phenomenal servant to Newcastle and he was adored by the home fans. Legendary coach Sir Bobby Robson labelled him irreplaceable. Speed scored 40 goals in 285 games for the club. He was smart, experienced, strong and technically gifted. A great man to have in the dressing room, he was as gifted as he was committed on the pitch. Chris Waddle provides another spark of magic in this side. The left winger scored over a goal every 4 games for Newcastle from midfield, a very impressive tally. He had flair in abundance and was part of a mean partnership with Peter Beardsley during his time with the Magpies. Perhaps the most famous footballer ever to put on the black and white of Newcastle is the iconic striker Alan Shearer. The local lad was ruthless in front of goal and racked up almost a goal every 2 games in his England career. At St James's Park, he was God, a fan favourite, their captain and all-time leading goalscorer with 206 goals. Who else could possibly be leading the line? Shearer is quite possibly Newcastle's best ever player, and most certainly the most popular amongst the fans. Jackie Milburn completes this epic Newcastle all-time 11. Milburn scored 2 goals for Newcastle as they won the 1951 FA Cup final. That was just one of 3 FA Cups that Milburn would win with a Newcastle side that was one of the best in the country during that era. Obviously, a fantastic finisher, his pace also made him hard to deal with for opponents. He scored 178 league goals for Newcastle and is now a worthy inductee in England's Football Hall of Fame. Of course, as the second highest goal scorer in Newcastle history, it's only right that he partners Alan Shearer up top in this fabulous team. The manager? Well, that will be Kevin Keegan, of course. An honourable mention for the legendary Bobby Robson. But any team commonly referred to as the Entertainers is one that I would pay to watch. I don't know about you. We will also leave special mentions for the likes of Paul Gascoigne and David Ginola, 2 of many other greats that have graced the field in the black and white of Newcastle. There's no space for them in this 11. I wonder how this all-time 11 would get on against the current Newcastle squad. The Magpies are on the way up and capable of anything in the next 5 to 10 years. Perhaps a name like Isak or Tonali will one day write themselves into an all-time 11 by breaking the trophy drought that exists in the northeast. What do you think anyway? Newcastle are on the way up and Newcastle have a great history, but the best may be yet to come. Let us know your thoughts below in the comments section and stay tuned for the next video.